Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. I'm your host for the morning, Janet Hickox, and we're here to talk about our daily astrology, human design, and perhaps even an oracle card. I already pulled one, and it's hysterical. I laughed after I pulled it because of what I had been writing just moments before about the day, and actually the whole weekend. And then I said to the cards, show me a card that we need to know for the weekend. And thank God it's Friday. Woo-hoo, right? We have the end of the weekend sight. 8 more hours maybe for you to work, and then it's the weekend. However, this weekend is going to be an interesting weekend, as today we have the moon in the final couple of degrees of Sagittarius. So we're still in that sort of adventurous kind of mood, looking for truth, playful, maybe even a little more fiery energy headed through the day. The moon is now conjunct the galactic center and was at early in the morning, like probably just before everybody was getting up and Adam this morning. And that gives us access to perhaps some new energies, new ways of doing things, perhaps just an injection of inspiration. And that's what I love about the galactic center is anytime a planet passes by there, we get some new injection of energy going. And of course, the moon passes by there monthly. So monthly, we have this activity going on that allows us to stream, if you will, some inspiration from way out there in space. And that may show up in your dreams. It may show up in just ideas that pop into your head from nowhere. It may show up in, especially if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, it may show up in a way that allows you to respond to something in your outer world. So it's all kind of fun stuff. Also, you may notice I'm in a different place today, right? The whole background is a completely different background than what I'm usually in. And that's because we spent the night at my daughter's house because she has 3 dogs and she was going out of town for the night. So I just drug all my stuff with me. The one thing she doesn't have here, though, that I have at home is a printer. So I couldn't print off everything that I needed for this morning. But that's okay because I was able to just take notes, right? So I have the chart. This is yesterday's chart. Today's doesn't look all that different, by the way. And on the back, I could just write down all my notes of things that I wanted to share with you. And, something occurred to me today when I was looking. I could look at the chart on the site that I use, but I really couldn't print it. So I can't really show it to you, but I can kind of show it to you because it was happening yesterday too. Remember a couple of weeks back, we'd been talking about the bucket pattern that the stars and the planets had been in, where the North Node, Destiny, was holding up the handle of the bucket while the rest of the planets were all in the bucket. Well, that is still happening, unbelievably so. So here, let me show you. And I know it's darker in here this morning, and that's because I don't have the same lighting. But here's the North Node down here. And then what you see is above the horizon are all of the planets. And everything that I use, besides the North Node, is up here. And so it really, and Ceres, by the way, too, she's down here. So Ceres, the goddess of abundance, holding with Destiny, and also with the prenatal lunar eclipse. But I don't want to go into that right now, but the last eclipse would have been lunar eclipse would have been at 11 degrees of Leo, or almost 12 degrees of Leo, which happened in February, right? We remember that. We talked about the eclipses. So because I asked the chart to show me prenatal lunar eclipses, and it's assuming this is a new birth, the day is a new birth, each day is a new birth, then it will, show me where the prenatal lunar eclipses were, which is really just translating into where was the last eclipse. So where is everybody this morning? There's none of my peoples out there that I can say hi to. I see Roseanne kind of out there in the background, but I don't know. Did I lose everybody this week? Is nobody interested in what's happening today or for the weekend? Or is everybody still sleepy? Because I'll tell you what, if I could, I'd still be sleeping. I think I told you guys yesterday, my daughter has 3 dogs, and one is a Great Dane, one is a Golden Lab, and the other is a little Dachshund. And the Dachshund wants to sleep with you, and so does the Great Dane. but I couldn't sleep with the Great Dane. I couldn't sleep with Baker because she is huge and she wants to take up the whole bed. So she slept on the floor until various times during the night when she thought we were asleep. She would jump up on us. It was too funny. So I would wake up and I'd be like, Baker, get on the floor. She's a gorgeous dog and she's a big sweetheart and she would just love you to death. But she is big and she thinks she's small, amazingly enough. All right, let's get back to astrology. So here we have the moon today, like I said, in the closing phases of Sagittarius, and we are ramping up then through the void of course moon at 2:01 p.m. today. That's where everybody is. The moon's void of course. Y'all forgot. You're all still sleeping or you're in meditation somewhere. Which is a good thing until 2:01 p.m. on the East Coast and 11:01 a.m. for me here on the West Coast, when the moon then takes a trip out of Sagittarius and into Capricorn, where it will spend the entire weekend. So what good is the moon in Capricorn, you might be asking? And it's really great because the moon in Capricorn brings us order and structure, right? It's in Saturn's territory. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And so it brings us into order and structure, responsibilities and duty, but it also pulls in the energy of Cancer from the other side. And the energy in Cancer is nurturing and homey and wants to take care of and feed you. And so this is a really kind of nice weekend, I think, to be able to get some things done, and those things being done perhaps around home. I know this is the first weekend in a while for us that we aren't going to be running somewhere and doing something. The kids have been on spring break this week, so there aren't any lacrosse games or volleyball games to go to. And so it does leave me some breathing room, leaves you all some breathing room, I would guess, as well, to catch up on the tasks and so forth that you may have been holding off doing. We always have a great excuse here in the Northwest for not going outside and doing things, and that's because it's drippy and wet. And that's probably going to be the case for us as well tomorrow. But if in your neck of the woods, it is beautiful outside, get out there and prepare your garden, do some weeding, or just, ground yourself in the pleasure of being outdoors after a long winter. This may be a great weekend to finish up your taxes. If you're here in the United States, they're due on I want to say the 16th, because the 15th falls on a Sunday. And so get that done, right? If it's almost like mine are sitting there half done because I made a mistake somewhere and I just have been too lazy to go back and look at it. Luckily, the IRS owes me money. So if I didn't want to finish it this week, I wouldn't have to. But this is probably a good weekend, the energy being with me to be able to get that sewn up. What about spring cleaning, right? The dust bunnies in the corners and under the bed and all that kind of stuff. April is a great time to get in there and get the house ready to be aired out, cleaned up, and let the light shine into the corners where it hadn't been able to shine all winter, perhaps. So a great weekend for that kind of energy, right? Both Saturday and on Sunday. The moon won't move out of Capricorn into Aquarius until 11:50 p.m. my time, Pacific time, on Sunday evening, which is awesome news. Why? It's awesome news because that means for the first time in like 4 weeks, we do not have a void of course moon on Monday. Wow, right? It's been making our Mondays feel a little lethargic and a little bit lackadaisical, like, do I really have to get up and get dressed and go somewhere today? But this week won't be that week. We'll be entering the week with the energy of Aquarius, and I think that bodes well for the whole week for us. But what really feels good to me is that we don't have the void of course moon on Monday. That means we'll have it later Tuesday, but Monday we won't be bothered by it. We can start the week fresh. And that may be as a result of getting some of the tasks that might be hanging around your neck done, right? There seems to always be, because last weekend was Easter and the kids are on spring break this week, perhaps. So it's real easy to put off till tomorrow what you don't want to do today. Procrastination, our best friends. But today may be a really good day for you to actually think about what tasks this weekend you want to get done. and then actually do them, right? Capricorn is an earth sign, and it means practical application of your energies. I also wanted to bring up that on Sunday, the moon and the sun move into the final square or 90-degree angle that they have with one another before the new moon. So the new moon is next Sunday. Funny because it happens on the same day that Mercury turns from retrograde into direct motion. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the week next week. But the moon squaring the sun, remember, happens twice in the month. But 1 week after the new moon, which becomes a crisis of action as we are trying to take steps toward whatever our intentions were, whatever showed up as new for us in the new moon. And we come to some kind of obstacle or block. And then we get to the full moon where perhaps we were able to have an aha, a revelation, or let go of whatever it was that we were holding on to that was in the way of the new intention. And now we come to the second square, which is the third quarter moon, and it is all about a crisis of consciousness. Now we have to bring some real energy into it. We have to be able to move beyond our limitations, and we have to be able to bring awareness to the entire project or opportunity that appeared for us at the new moon. And sometimes that brings on, some fear as we finally realize, well, if I'm going to move forward, I'm going to have to let go of something, or I'm really going to have to connect with someone new or start doing things in a new way. And so the crisis of consciousness on Sunday. And this is of the two, this is probably the lesser of the two. And it may be something that actually ends up being a little bit mitigated for us, because on Saturday, Venus is in a very powerful trine with the planet Saturn. Venus is in Taurus, Saturn in Capricorn, both earth signs, both in this case like moderation, right? There's no going to like the pendulum, not swinging really high to one side or really low to the other side. It's really kind of a nice moderate sort of thing that we find ourselves in, or a rhythm that we find ourselves in. And so perhaps the crisis of consciousness isn't really so much about making things more difficult for yourself, but making things more easy for yourself. Wouldn't that be fun, right? Letting go of all those preconceived notions we have about how things should run, about how much work there should be involved in doing something, and just let go and just do it and just have fun doing it. Let's see what else is happening today. Today, doodah. Today, the moon is also trining Uranus. That can make for some moments of excitement. It can make for some moments of ahas. It could be, remember today, the sun is still in gate 51 in human design, the gate of shock, the gate of awakening, right? The gate that shakes us out of our reverie and says, move in that direction and do something, do anything. So be careful about that as well. We don't want to take indiscriminate action toward goals or toward doing things. We would like to have it a little more pre-planned, a little more deliberate. And I think by the time that we're really engaged in that energy, we may be able to find a way to be more calm and cool in the way that we approach it. We won't have that, that excitement, scared, kind of deer in the headlights look about us when we engage in the energy for the rest of the day. Saturday, we have the moon making the square to Mercury, trining Venus, conjuncting Saturn, conjuncting Mars, and sextiling Neptune. A busy day, right? A busy, busy day from the stars' point of view. And from the moon's point of view, really, this is the moon making all of this, because the moon moving into Capricorn, of course, starts to stimulate all the planets that we have in Capricorn, which are Saturn and Mars. And later on in the weekend, Pluto will be involved in this as well. But it's also trining Venus in Taurus, which we were just talking about with Venus and Saturn. So the weekend does really favor getting things done. in a way that we haven't been able to have done it in a long time. Good morning, Mimi. There's everybody. Mimi, Roseanne, she didn't get a Facebook notice this morning. How bizarre. How bizarre. Maybe because I'm in a different place, it couldn't find me or couldn't find you. I don't know. Or maybe, oh, you know what? Be Live did tell me yesterday, I think it was, that there was some kind of issue between them and Facebook, but it told me that there would only be problems connecting with the groups. Well, you all that I'm connecting with are actually on a page, the Living Astrology page. So maybe that has something to do with it as they're fixing that issue. I don't know. But anyway, lovely to see you out there. Lovely to know that people are hearing me and I'm not in some void somewhere. I thought I got swallowed up by the Galactic Center, for God's sakes. I wonder how that would look, how that would be. Okay, so let's see, Mimi, I forgot you said something here that I wanted to say. Some order, structure, and grounding sounds good. I love that, right? Because that is something that maybe we have been missing over the last couple of days as things have been kind of crazy. But with order and structure, then we are in a better place when those surprises show up. And, we know that surprises are going to show up because we have Uranus or the sun sitting at the gate of surprises, right? The gate of shocks. So indeed, it would be nice to have some grounding energy before we have to face something new or something exciting, something different. In the spirit of that, let's go to the oracle card that I drew for the weekend. And I think you guys will be as amused as I was, because sometimes I think the gods out there are playing with me. But today they were definitely delivering a message. Here's the card. It is the card called Chop Wood. You can see it has a broom and there's God's face in the broom. I love it. Spirit's face in the broom. What else is in this card here? There's a basket that might have held some cleaning supplies, etc., etc. So let's read about chop wood. It reminds me of the book, After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. There's also, is it a Taoist or Buddhist saying that says something about chopping wood? Maybe it'll say that here for us in this. So let's read about this card. And again, this is the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, my favorite deck of the moment. That doesn't mean I don't use other decks, by the way. I have lots of them that I use. In fact, I have another one of hers that I use called the Wisdom of Avalon. Maybe I'll introduce that next week because I love that deck as well. So chop wood, essential meaning being grounded in everyday experience and humility. The oracle's message is there are times when the big dream is meant to lie dormant in your consciousness so that you can pay attention to the simple chores in your life. Consider why pruning a tree is the forerunner of delighting in the beautiful blooms when it is in full blossom. The mundane act of pulling off dead leaves, watering the soil, and then leaving it to let nature take its course is an important step in manifestation. Taking your attention away from your goal brings you into a state of receptivity. This is the deeper purpose for releasing attachment. When you engage in everyday tasks in a meditative, contemplative way, you clear your energy to receive your aha. Moon in Uranus, that's coming. Moments which bring you even closer to what you seek. I'm going to read the relationship message as well. Nothing is as important right now as just doing what you need to do day to day. Let your heart remember that not everything has to be hard-won, passionate, or even obviously meaningful. Relationships and friendships go through lulls when the everyday tasks are at the center of awareness. That is perfect now. Hold hands, wash dishes, make a fire, read a book, share a meal, say nothing, stare into space, pick up socks, tell a dumb joke, and leave space to breathe. The work of your relationship right now is very simple, just to be present. Funny how it takes work to just be. All is well, really. The prosperity message says, now is the time to take small steps rather than larger leaps on the journey to creating your most prosperous life. Move your focus off your big dream and attend to the mundane chores. Focus on the little things that may have piled up while you've been mapping out the greater plan for the life you aspire to. Chop wood, carry water, as the Zen proverb advises, or wash dishes, walk the dog. While you're doing all that, Spirit will have a chance to move mountains and set wondrous miracles in motion for you. Remain humble and aware of the present. And I swear to you guys, I don't make this stuff up. I can't just, in fact, I had to, the first question I asked was apparently not the correct question because a card wouldn't pop out at me. And that's the way I usually like to do it, is to have, the card, the oracle gods or goddesses drop a card out of the deck for me, because that's when I really feel like, okay, this is the real card. And nothing was happening. And I went, okay, so maybe I have the wrong question. So then I reworded the question and this card popped out. So indeed, I don't go through the deck looking for the right and perfect card. I can't do that because, first of all, I don't know the deck well enough to know what all the cards mean. But I just love the magic around something like that message coming up, when everything I was talking about this morning with the moon in Capricorn is about getting caught up on the little mundane tasks, getting your taxes finished, right? I even use the preparing your garden sort of scenario, because all of that type of stuff is the stuff that we have available for us to do this weekend. And just think about how good it will feel when all those little tasks are done. You can just sit back and actually relax, right? Just enjoy the fact that you got all that cleaning done, or you got that laundry pile reduced to nothing, or you got your taxes done and they're filed and on their way, and everything is in right and perfect order. That's kind of the weekend we have for us this weekend. As I'm sitting here trying to think of what tasks I want to get done, I felt like this might be a weekend for writing for me. We'll see. Now, I want to make a little bit of an announcement here. Next, so I know there's a few of you out there this morning, but maybe those of you who listen to this later can send me a quick message on the Living Astrology Facebook page, because either next Sunday or the following Wednesday, I'll give you the dates. Either April 15th, that would be apropos, wouldn't it? The new moon. Ooh, let's just do it on the 15th. The new moon, 6:57 p.m. Nope, let's do it Wednesday, the 18th. Well, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Either Sunday the 15th or Wednesday the 18th, I'm going to do a webinar on type, strategy, and authority, or the 3 keys to unlocking the power of your human design. And I'm going to keep the price down at like $20, right? I don't need, to charge you all a lot of money to come and hear this talk. But I think it's really important because I'm always talking about type, strategy, and authority. And I want you to really understand what that means, because if there's nothing else that you learn about human design, those 3 things alone will keep you moving in a path of authenticity. And of course, that means we open the gates to other webinars as we go on. So either next Sunday, probably around 4 p.m. Pacific, which will be 7 p.m. East Coast time, or the same time period on Wednesday, the 18th. You guys tell me which one works best for you. The webinar will be recorded. It will not be live on Facebook, so you will have to register and come in through Zoom. And in that case, we can all be together. And because you're paying for it, I don't want to cast it out there live, right, for everybody to have access to when you had to pay. So it won't be live, but it will be recorded. So if you've paid to come to the webinar and you can't make it at that time or date, you will be able to have the link to listen to it later. And of course, in that webinar, you'll want to have your own human design chart. If you haven't gotten your own human design chart, you can go to my website, www.living-astrology.com. I can even type that in here for those of you who don't know what my website is. living-astrology.com. There we go. And request your free chart, right? That way you have it with you during the talk, and you'll know what type you are. You'll know what your strategy is, and you'll know what your authority is. So I hope you'll all join me. Please let me know what date you think works best for you all. And I'll choose probably if you can let me know today, that would be super. And then tomorrow I can I can spend the energy of the moon in Capricorn putting it all together for everybody. All right. So in the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Get some work done. Don't overdo it. Venus and Saturn will make sure we are in moderation. And I love you all. We'll see you on Monday morning when we'll talk about what the energy is coming up for the week. All right. In the meantime, take care. Have a great day.